This morning I watched a family eat breakfast together. A mother, a father, two kids. A table full of food. Morning light coming through the window. Everything you'd want in a picture of a family. Not one of them was looking at each other. Each one had a phone in their hand or flat on the table next to their plate. Even the youngest, couldn't have been more than 7, was watching something with little cartoon sounds coming out of it. The parents weren't talking, they were scrolling. And nobody seemed to notice. Nobody seemed to think anything was wrong. I sat there for a long time after that, just thinking. I am not here to scold anyone. That is not my way, and it was never the way of the elders I learned from. Scolding changes nothing. It only makes people feel ashamed, and shame closes people off. I have no interest in closing anyone off. But I do want to talk about something that was taken from us. Something quiet. Something most people haven't noticed is gone, because it left so slowly, a little at a time, the way warmth leaves a fire that nobody is tending. I want to talk about attention, not the big dramatic kind, not the attention you pay during a crisis or a celebration. I mean the small, ordinary, everyday attention, the kind you give someone when you are just with them, sitting beside them, existing in the same space, in the same moment, with nowhere else your mind is trying to be. That kind of attention used to be the most natural thing in the world. When I was young, if 2 people sat together, they were together. There was nothing else competing for where their eyes went. You looked at the person in front of you. You heard them, not just their words. You watched their face while they searched for the right word. You noticed when their voice changed. You caught the thing they almost said but didn't. You were there for all of it. That is how people knew they were loved. Not from grand gestures, from that. From being truly seen by another person who had nowhere else to be. I think about my grandmother. She had a way of sitting with you that made you feel like the entire world had gotten smaller and quieter, and it was just the 2 of you inside it. She wasn't doing anything special. She was just present. Fully, completely present. Her eyes didn't drift. Her hands were still. When you spoke, she didn't start thinking about her response halfway through your sentence. She waited until you were finished. Sometimes she waited a little longer than that. That kind of presence was a gift she gave everyone who sat with her, and she gave it without thinking, because in those days there was nothing pulling her away. Now there is always something pulling us away. The phone doesn't announce itself. It doesn't say, "Excuse me, I need to interrupt this moment." It just sits there. And some part of your brain knows it's there. And that part of your brain is always slightly somewhere else. Always half listening for a buzz or a chime. Always aware in some low-level way that there might be something to check. Researchers have found, and I find this remarkable, that just having a phone on the table, face down, not even being used, changes a conversation. People share less. They feel less connected. The conversation stays surface level, because somewhere in the back of both minds is the awareness of that small rectangle of glass. And that awareness takes up space. Space that used to belong to the person across the table. We gave that space away without realizing it. I have watched people sit in the same room for an entire evening. Friends, family, husbands and wives, each one somewhere else entirely. Traveling through feeds and videos and messages and comment sections, visiting 1,000 different places, none of which was here. And when the evening ended, they had been physically together for hours. And they had also, in some real way, not been together at all. I wonder sometimes what we are looking for when we scroll. I think about it. Really think about it. Because the reaching for the phone, it happens so fast, so automatically, before a conscious thought is even formed. A moment of quiet appears, and the hand moves toward the phone before the mind has decided anything. Which tells me the phone is answering something. It's filling something. A restlessness, a discomfort with empty space, a habit of needing input, needing stimulation, needing to feel connected to something, even when connection is already sitting right beside us. And I think that is the saddest part. We reach for a screen to feel less alone, while the person who could actually make us less alone is right there in the same room, maybe even looking at their own screen for the same reason. Two people, lonely in each other's presence, reaching outward when everything they need is already inside the room. My grandfather used to say, "The fire does not warm you from across the valley. You have to sit beside it." He meant people. He meant presence. He meant that warmth only travels so far, and at some point you have to be near enough to feel it. I am not naive. I know the phone is not going anywhere. I know it holds things that matter. Photographs of people we love, voices of family who live far away, information that helps us live our lives. I am not asking anyone to throw it in the river, but I want to ask something simpler than that. I want to ask you to notice. Just notice. The next time you sit down for a meal with someone you love, notice where your attention goes. Notice how many times the thought arises to check something. You don't have to act on it. Just notice that it arises. Notice what that impulse feels like. Notice what happens in the room when you set the phone down and leave it down. Watch the quality of the conversation change. Watch the other person's eyes when they realize you are actually there. Because people can feel it. They always could. You know the feeling yourself when someone is with you, but not really with you. When their eyes are on you, but their mind is half gone. You feel it in your chest, a small, flat feeling, like offering someone your hand and having them shake it while looking somewhere else. And you know the other feeling too, when someone sits with you and they are just there, fully, when nothing is competing for their attention and they are giving it all to you. It is one of the finest feelings a person can experience, to be that seen, to be that heard, to have someone's presence the way you used to be able to give it and receive it without even trying. That feeling is still possible. It hasn't gone anywhere. It is waiting on the other side of the phone being set down. I think about that family I saw at breakfast. I don't know their story. Maybe they were tired. Maybe the morning had already been hard. Maybe the phones were a kind of rest from each other. And even families need that. I am not in a position to judge what I saw for 30 seconds through a window. But I think about the kids, the 7-year-old with the cartoons, growing up in a world where a screen at the table is just normal, where divided attention is just what adults do, where sitting together without looking at something is a little strange and a little uncomfortable. What will they know about presence? What will they know about being fully seen? That is the thing that was taken. That is what I mean when I say the phone stole something. Not hours, not productivity, not sleep, though it took those things too. It stole the ordinary, unremarkable, irreplaceable experience of being completely with another person. and we handed it over without a fight, because each step was small. First the phone on the table, then the quick check during commercials, then one eye on the screen while the other watched the grandkids play. And slowly, so slowly that we never saw it happening, the full presents we used to give each other became a rare and almost formal thing, something you had to make an effort for, something that required a special occasion. It was never supposed to be special. It was supposed to be ordinary. It used to be the most ordinary thing in the world. I am going to sit by the river tomorrow morning, same as always. No phone, just the water and the light and whatever thoughts come and go. And if someone sits beside me, I am going to give them what my grandmother gave me and what her grandmother gave her. All of my attention, every bit of it, because that is the oldest gift one person can give another. And unlike so many things in this life, it has not become harder to give with age. If anything, it has become easier. I finally understand what it is worth.